Well, yeah, dude.
Cool.
Let's get it.
All right. So welcome everyone to the Mildly Interesting Monday podcast. It's kind of what I call it. I'm Nick Yarrow, and I'm here with two of my guests that are also my coworkers at our,
former coworker.
former coworker.
I still work with you.
One current coworker. So I'm Nick.
My name is Kenny.
And my name is Van.
Sweet. We work at Best Buy, and it's actually a really good gig. Like, I really like it.
I like it. I like for how long I've been there. I can say I liked it. And, it's flexible,
Very
chill
flexible
vibes.
Oh, yeah. The coworkers, super cool. What about you, man?
Best Buy's a great place to work. They're pretty reasonable with your scheduling, and the discounts are plentiful. Your coworkers are pretty chill. I love Best Buy.
What's the CEO of Best Buy?
Hugh.
Hugh Bear. Hugh Bear. Hey, Hugh Bear. Best Buy's a great work.
Yeah, if you love Best Buy so much,
Hubert?
what's their motto?
Enrich your customers' lives through technology.
All right.
Alright, here's another one. What was Best Buy first called when they opened?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know that one.
Ooh, I know it.
There used to be a music store.
Radio Shack.
The Sound of Music.
That's
what it was called.
Is that really
That's what it was called.
Oh,
The Sound of Music before
Really?
it switched
Man.
over to Best Buy.
I was thinking, what's the people with the red shirts that have the nerd herd?
Oh.
Geek Squad?
No,
No,
not
I know
the
what you're
TV
talking
show.
about.
Not the TV show. What's the one that was like they had a red logo?
Yeah.
Circuit City.
Circuit City.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a different
Yes.
company.
But did Best Buy buy Circuit City, or did they just they just took over the market?
I guess, more or less.
They bought all their customers.
I saw an award recently that Best Buy had they had received about being the most ethical company of 2018.
Well, we brought the perfect guest to speak against that. Just
We're inside info right here. Oh man. Let me
Well,
look.
if we're gonna dive into it, just in general, I guess
Retail is an adventure.
everything we talk about is purely hypothetical, right?
None of this actually
My
happened.
lawyer did not tell me to say this, but everything we talk about is purely hypothetical.
Coincidental. But let me tell you guys, retail is an adventure. Like, I always tell everybody, by the time you hit a certain age, you need to work a year in retail, and you need to go do service in a third world country. Just because how you get treated as a retail worker, it's literally third class citizen. You're not even, I almost feel like you kind of get paid to be treated less of a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like this entitlement. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
The customer is always right.
And no, yeah, it's not the company that's treating you like a third class citizen. It's the customers.
Mm-hmm.
I work over in customer service, and I can't even tell you how
That's
many...
the worst type of customers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. It's maybe once a shift I'll have someone just freaking yell at me or call me something or call Best Buy something.
I've noticed that, at least with customers, when they start yelling at my coworkers and I show up, they don't keep that same energy. It's, I think one of, a couple things, either they're afraid they're going to say something to me. I'm a triple minority at Best Buy, so I get that benefit. So I think the customers are just straight up afraid that they'll say something towards me, and they'll get in a bunch of trouble because they'll be considered racist or something.
There you go. You just flip it.
Or I'm just intimidating. Either or.
Either or. Yeah.
When I help customers, when I walk up towards customers, and say, "Hey, how you doing?" I put on my customer service voice, and I ask them, "Hey, need help find anything?" "No, I'm good." And then 2 seconds later, somebody else walks up towards them and they start helping the customer out. I'm like, did I say something wrong? Yeah, it's just
they just ignore you.
well, I don't know. It's just
Like, not from your kind.
There
No.
we go. Yeah, just tell me.
That's funny.
I think probably one of the most aggravating things of working with customers at Best Buy, like personally, is when like you're genuinely trying to help them, like help them make a better decision on a purchase.
Oh, and they think that you're trying to upsell them or trying
exactly.
to,
Like they
Yeah.
think that you're trying to like, oh, you're just trying to make a better commission or like, but
Bruh.
it's like literally. I swear on my mom, my grandma, like everyone right now, like this is a way better purchase. Like especially when like okay, like 2 items are on sale and one of them has higher reviews, but it's only $20 off. But another one has not necessarily as high reviews, but it's $150 off, and they're running the same price. You know.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them is obviously better than the other one. Although people might have had more problems with it, it still has a warranty on it. Or maybe, you know, it got damaged in shipping or whatever. But it's obviously, you know, a better vacuum or a better blender, whatever.
Yeah, I feel.
It's really, that's
Oh, yeah,
that's
and,
one of the more aggravating
That's
things.
that's the thing that's really funny to me too, is a lot of people are just so like skeptical now when they walk into stores. Like they just expect to totally be like upsold or to like be just screwed over on like policies and stuff. I mean, you don't make any commission off sales in Best Buy, right?
Like apparently, like in other parts of the world, when you're helping a customer, like if you're in a sales associate at a store, other parts of the world, like you're not supposed to smile or like grin or like, you know, because apparently the customer perceives that as fake.
Yeah.
Like in other parts of the world, but here at Best Buy, we're always like with happy faces and everything. And I can't help but think that the customer probably thinks like we're just putting up a front for them to, I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, like I totally understand that, because there will be times where like customer service where, because retail stores like to put up this facade that they're like magical, you know,
Yeah.
and that they'll try their best to make sure that they can, like, you know, like Disneyland, where they're like, oh, we're gonna do everything we possibly can, and we're gonna make this fridge appear out of nowhere. And like I understand that, but at the end of the day, like it's still a business. Like
Yeah.
like there will be people who come in like, oh, my microwave was supposed to be delivered a while ago, and we're like, oh, well, I'm sorry, that was our mistake, but I can't like teleport it to your house.
Yeah.
Like
No.
it's just so like at the end of the day, it's still business. Like you make mistakes.
And you know, there's only like a certain number of things or like a certain distance that managers can even go sometimes, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like it sucks when like, you know, it really like it's our mistake, or maybe it's not even our mistake completely, it's like partially the customer's fault, but there's nothing you can do to make it better. That's the worst.
It's like
Those are the
when
worst.
That's the
when it's the
worst.
customer's fault, dude. Like, bro.
yeah.
At least with return policies. In
Oh
general.
yeah, like
Bro, you had 3 months to bring this product back.
Yeah.
and they always say, oh, it didn't work.
I was on vacation. I couldn't bring it back.
I was like, you're on vacation
For
for
3
3 months.
months,
Where'd
like-
you go?
It's been in my car this whole time, and I'm like,
He's like, it never worked.
you know, sometimes we've been, and we still go to help them out. We still give them store credit sometimes. Again, that's manager discretion. Best Buy's return policy is always 15 days. But
Always.
sometimes there's leeway depending on the circumstances. But they still don't understand. It's like, you bought this when? Black Friday? And it's June now.
Yeah. It's like at that point, like
I think the other biggest misconception a lot of people have about Best, or like just retail stores in general, is they think that we make our product, you know?
yeah.
Like they'll be like, oh, I bought this HP laptop from you and it's broken. I'm like, cool, did you talk to HP? But I got it from you. Like, what are we supposed to do?
So like,
You're like,
yeah.
cool.
It's like, I'm going to tell you a couple things you don't like, but don't shoot the messenger, okay? It's just, you know.
Honestly, and it's really funny because I can't remember where I heard this, but it was Best Buy Wix. They make way more money off of just having the product on the floor, like from manufacturers paying to have
Paying
their
for
stuff being like shown up front like that than they actually do on sales.
Dang. That makes sense.
Yeah, because
Pretty
they, like all the planograms, everything you see in the store, companies are actually paying for spots in the store.
I got you.
Oh yeah, it's
To
crazy.
I remember one return right after Christmas. I think it was this most recent year. I think it was right after Christmas. Anyways, this guy bought a TV and took it out of the box, and he went to go put it up or whatever, and he said the screen was cracked. But when he brought it back, it was literally like sleet outside. Like, not even just rain, but like slush, like falling from the sky. It was bad. The roads were horrible, like, and the TV's just in the back of his truck, laying down. It's like a 65-inch TV.
Is that the one that looked like it was kicked in?
It was bad.
That was another one.
That's another one, but no.
It was, it was like, so it's laying down in the back of the truck. He brings it in. There's like a puddle of water, like, on the TV. He, like, dumps it off, like, when he walks in. And then, like, put a sticker on it, and he takes it over. He's like, hey, I went to go put this TV up, and it's cracked. And we're like, bruh, like, you think we can return this right now for,
That
like...
is the least of your problems.
It's laying down in the back of your truck, first of all. And it's literally like pouring snow and rain outside. Like, get out of here. I remember one guy, this was a while ago, one guy tried to return a laptop. Well, actually, no. He didn't try. He successfully returned a laptop as unopened, right?
Wow.
They brought it over, and they put it up, like, in PRC, and they're looking at the box, and, like an hour and a half later, they're looking at the bottom of it, and there's, like, a little bit of liquid on it. They're like, what the heck? So they're looking in the tote, and they can't figure it out. They're like looking at the box, like, what is this? So they open it up, they pull it out. It's a laptop inside of a bag of grease. Literally, like, a sealed bag of grease. It's like, why? Like, what amount of effort is worth the maybe $500, potentially $1,000?
There's so many like that too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that he probably bought that laptop off eBay or something, and he got it, and he's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's a bag of grease, and
just
then he returns it
imagine.
to Best Buy. Ugh.
My favorite one, I think there's a lot of like that. There's a one that a customer brought a Bose speaker in to do a return. Sketchy looking guy. That was the first one. But right, we
don't judge.
we
We
opened
don't
the
judge.
box. No, customer buys it. The customer buys it. He returns as like, hey, this is what I found inside the box. And it was like a 2-liter Shasta. It was like a soda. Inside it was like a big Bose speaker, and it was just a 2-liter soda. And it was like, and the customer was really like, I just barely bought it like not too long ago.
That's always like I love it when, because there's a few times something like that, like a customer will buy a video game and the game will be missing or the movie or something. And it always is so funny because they bring it back even though they know it looks extremely sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
It was the last
shaking
guy.
in the
That's hard
I
though. That's hard though.
promise.
Yeah.
Like,
It's such a hard.
Well,
especially-
that kind of reminds me. There was another pretty bad one. I remember a customer walks in. They're like, "Hey, I want to buy a Pixel 3 XL," and so they walk in and they buy it outright.
oh yes.
Right? They. So what that means, just for those who don't know, buying outright means you don't do it with a contract with AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, any of the carriers. You just pay the
Cost
full
of the
cost
phone.
of the phone. Anyways,
Did he pay
so
with
they buy the
cash or
phone.
card?
It was with a card. It was with a
Just
card.
like normal.
So anyway, so they, it was like $1,000 or like, I think it was the bigger storage, so it was like $1,200 or $1,300 or whatever. Anyways, the customer goes out in the parking lot and they take off the lid. Phone's not there at all, right? And they're like, what? Like, I can't imagine being that customer in that
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, like they're gonna think that I stole it. Like, they're gonna think that something went wrong. So the customer comes right back in frantically. Obviously, this lady is just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like mortified, like so sad, like she's shooken, like can't believe that somebody else would even do this. Whatever.
The phone's
Anyways.
gone. Phone got stolen.
Gone.
So, where is it? Lo and behold, phone's been stolen. Like, that's what it came down to. Like, somebody must have stole the phone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We just
They left the
didn't check
box
it.
behind. And it was like that for a few months, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Or we
Yeah.
just, whatever. Another stolen phone. Things get stolen and
That's
stuff.
crazy.
But well, few months pass, and it turns out, and this is a personal story about Best Buy, but I'm not gonna say any names or anything, but this is just a story about working at Best Buy, whatever. Anyway, so the phone gets stolen, right? There happens to be an associate at the store who notices another associate who has a Pixel 3. and XL, and he's like, like is he's wondering, and then also, because a couple weeks later, he also has a pair of these Sony noise canceling headphones.
Oh yeah,
that went missing a few weeks ago.
And by the way, just so everyone knows, Best Buy, they really do their best at making sure that this stuff doesn't happen. Phones are put in a lockup cage. The specific key to open that cage can only be carried by certain people, and they have to announce when they're holding it. This is about as professional as it gets. But every now and then, something slips through the cracks. Because, like I said, they're not perfect. It's just some people. But anyways,
and this associate,
their specific position was kind of one of those ones where I feel like they were given a little bit more trust in the company than most positions. All in all, the company does an excellent job of just making sure that, one, nobody's stealing, and then two, one thing that I really appreciate about the company is they don't want anybody to get accused of stealing when they're not. They do a really good job of keeping everything accurate.
And they do try to incentivize us, hey, if you see somebody stealing, report it in, and there's extra cash reward that you'll get.
Oh yeah, and Best Buy,
$10,000. You catch somebody, we find this guy and everything. You get a cash incentive on your next paycheck. So I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
okay.
and it makes sense because Best Buy, out of a lot of places to steal from, Best Buy would probably be a good target. If I were to work at somewhere where I could try to get away with stealing, it's not going to be like Toys R Us.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But working there, it's what's worth it at that
honestly,
point?
Really,
because it's such a good job.
They do a really good job. I think they do a really good job physically of preventing people from stealing, including customers and associates. But two, they just really do an overall really good job of incentivizing the associates to just not steal. It's just it's not worth it. Nothing that we sell is worth it, and that's awesome. That's really the best way to kind of prevent that.
And just the job and the benefits that come with it, honestly.
It
makes it really worth it to just be a
Yeah.
good employee.
Yeah, it's not something, a lot of people want to, risk.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. Not all of them, though.
Not all of them. There are a few. So, yeah, continue with your story.
So, the Pixel 3 goes missing. Another associate notices that one associate has a Pixel 3 XL. Now, he doesn't see, the color or whatever, the phone or whatever. So, anyways, talks to the manager about it. The manager's like, all right, let's try and do some research. So they go and they look up the what's called an IMEI, or basically like a social security number for a cell phone. It's like a serial number for a cell phone, but it's not like Apple has an IMEI and Android phones have an IMLI. It's the same number across all of them. So we look up the IMEI. They're doing more research on it. Sorry, they look up the IMEI. And turns out it's attached to an associate's Verizon account. Now
He hooked it up to his own account.
it was
That person,
It was not the person that they were originally investigating's Verizon account. The person that they thought it was. It was a completely different associate, but they just happened to run into the fact that it was a different associate.
Now that's crazy.
So, long story short, this particular associate was one that he kind of played the role of being a thief really well, because he was literally the last person I would have guessed
Everybody
to
know what it was
to steal.
This guy was probably working at Best Buy 9 years almost, different positions across his managers. He worked at a position where once that was terminated, that position, Best Buy actually took him in. He was like a rep. He would come into the store or was here at the store, and Best Buy took him in, like the managers did. And when he lost his job, essentially, so we hired him at Best Buy as an actual employee, and he was in leadership roles, and then he was in more trustworthy positions. And this guy talked like he told the stories like you know
Yeah.
because everybody asked him like
I think I met this person once or twice.
everybody
when
asked
I
him
first
like
joined.
you know what brings you to like what are
Yeah,
you doing
where'd
at
you
Best
come from?
what are you doing at Best Buy? He tells us all these stories that he used to be LAPD. He was like an undercover cop for a long time and everything. And
That's what's crazy is like once you kind of figure that out and you hear this all, you're like, how much of that was true?
so I guess like going back, tying it back. It's so as soon as they apprehended the associate, they brought him in the morning before the store even opened, because his position was where he was there at 6 a.m. before anybody, and the cops, everybody was there, and they bring him into the room and. He confessed to like lying about lots of things, that he was never a police officer, he was never any of this, and that yes, he did steal all of this working at Best Buy, and everybody was just like,
just so shocked,
dumbfounded.
That's crazy.
And it's kind of one of those things like, you know, we don't know what position he was in or like, you know, why he decided to do that. But in all reality, like the amount.
He had some
and,
AirPods
like,
and stuff.
Yeah,
Weird.
there was a picture posted on social media of him with some AirPods about a day or two after they were reported missing, and like there were a lot of things that he just kind of dug the hole a little deeper as soon as people started noticing it. But in all reality, you know, had that lucky moment like not happen when we were investigating somebody else and it turned out that we discovered it was a different associate. Had that not happened, you know, we really never would have even blinked an eye about this associate.
Yeah, because his position is like counting everything in the store, making sure he's like an auditor to make sure everything inventory is right.
For primarily the expensive products, you know, they try and do all the products, but you know, most of the time, especially towards later on in the year, you know, they're working on with mainly the more expensive products. But you know, they can just say, you know, whether how many are there and how many are not there, and there's also not a whole lot of people in the store. So, you know, they do have a lot of opportunity, but it's one of those things that most of the time that someone gets hired into that, you know, they have a lot of that trust from a lot of people. And so
it was weird.
All in all, like, I think the lesson to be learned about the story is just, you know, in working in retail or working in clothing or in a supermarket or like a bank or
Trust no one.
wherever you're at, you know, really, you know, you never know what someone could be, what they could be up to.
It was weird.
Honestly.
Like this
You
guy
have
would
to
go
keep
to
your
like
eyes open.
This guy would go to like people's like concert, like people's. He would go to people like the other associates to their gigs at the bar
like
and
he
hang
was just
out.
like
They
a
would
nice dude.
they would hang outside of the store, and he was a cool guy
That's
to talk
so
to.
crazy.
And
It's just
talk
like-
about like the person as well, like not even just like being just a nice guy. Like he was one of those people that rather than walking up and just be like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" He's like, "Hey, like how's it going? How was your dad? Like I heard he got in a motorcycle accident."
Yeah.
Like he remembers things, you know, like you know, and you know he really stood out as like a character, and he was definitely well liked. But
That's crazy. It's funny because like it's always like the people who are just super nice, because it's not like he was like, you know, oh, he's a terrible like a bad you know, twirling his mustache and everything.
Yeah.
It's just like he just made a lot of dumb decisions and dug a big hole, and instead of owning up to it and correcting it all, it just like dug it deeper and deeper.
I have his mugshot on my phone.
But you know, all in all, you know, it's unfortunate that something like that happens. But you know, you really never know. You know, and I think that comes with pretty much every single job you work at. You know,
I called out this associate. He worked at and he was a sales associate, and he bought a Nintendo Switch, and he actually returned it to himself.
I remember
so he
hearing
kept the
this.
Switch. He kept the Switch, but he returned it to himself. So he kept the money and he kept the Switch. Of course, they caught him. He used his own numbers and everything. He got caught. He got slaps on the wrist. They told him to just leave. Like nothing happened to him.
Yeah.
So he still comes to the store, which is super weird. But I saw him and I'm like, hey, how's that Nintendo Switch, dude? Dude, he was just like.
Like, just no shame.
He was like, "Oh, it's good. I don't play too much now." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh yeah.
All right.
That doesn't
really,
change the
I heard
fact.
you got a lot more time on your hands, bruh. Like,
And this guy like didn't need to steal it. Like apparently his parents were super rich or whatever.
That's so.
He drove a BMW and
What?
Man.
I don't understand people sometimes.
You know, it's the same thing with speaking, like, this is not, you know, associated with Best Buy by any means, but just speaking from being an associate in retail, the people who shoplift, just like the associates who shoplift, are always genuinely the people that you least expect, you know, pretty much most of the time. Sometimes it's kind of like, all right, I kind of expected it, and then pretty quickly, you know, they get caught, whatever. Or they, you know, they attempt and they know they're going to get caught, so they stop, whatever.
Oh,
But, like, you know, a lot of the times, like, I worked a retail job at JCPenney's. A lot of the times that people were shoplifting or getting caught on the way out, it's like moms with 3 kids and like their husband's right next to them.
Yeah.
And like their husband doesn't even know, or at least, you know, he acts like he doesn't even know. You know, it could be a part of the show, so she could say, like,
I can just see them talking.
someone put it in there.
Or if we get caught, we never knew each other.
Because
Yeah.
I think Costco.
I'll take the kids.
Like I think Costco has something like this
One
where
of us is going under.
they have somebody like stands at the front of the door that checks everybody's receipts. And Best Buy has something like that too. He should make sure that everything that's coming in and coming out is all accounted for. But yeah, his job is majority of it is just kind of picking out suspicious looking people.
The other thing that I really noticed also with when it comes to the shrink at Best Buy is I want to swear most of it is honestly video games and gamers, dude. Like, I don't know what it is, but like just that mindset of them like, oh, I don't give a crap about anything. Like, I want my video games. Because I swear, if you were to like have maybe an hour or two where there were just no associates in the store whatsoever and anyone could do whatever they want, the video game section would be completely empty by the end of that. Like, I can't even tell you how many times we'll catch people trying to, you know, do return frauds on consoles, trying to walk out with consoles, trying to steal games, like taking them to the bathroom. Like, this one guy was trying to take a Nintendo Switch, right? And it was so funny because what he did is he went to our gaming section, which was next to our warehouse. He grabs it in the box in the gaming section, heads towards inside the warehouse. And he's in the warehouse, like, trying to open the box to take it out so he could steal it. But what he didn't know was we were doing our truck load that day. So our warehouse team was in there. And, like, it's just, like, 3 or 4 people just looked at him and were like, are you lost?
That's not right.
I've never heard this.
That
was so funny.
Ooh.
And the guy was just like, I need to find the bathroom. And they're like, it's going to be that way. And then as soon as he leaves, we're like, hey, can you have someone keep an eye on this guy? He just tried to take a switch.
That's funny.
Oh, it was so...
I remember probably one of my favorite Best Buy stories on the planet. All right, so this person comes in, or this customer comes into Best Buy, right? And at the time, you know, we didn't know anything about them, right? So they walk up, they run into one of the managers or one of the associates or something, and they talk to them and they're like, oh, I'm waiting for an interview. They're like, okay, go ahead and head in the break room and just chill in there for a little bit. And then someone else goes in there in like 10 or 15 minutes, and she's eating some Chinese food that's somebody else's from the fridge. And they're like, what the heck? Like,
what you got?
I don't think that... So someone else goes on radio like, hey, like, who's that lady, like, in the... I'm pretty sure it was a lady.
He was like...
That's the
He was like ambiguous, like I couldn't tell. So I was there in the break room.
Gotcha.
I was taking my break, and this weird-looking person walks into the break room and just opens their fridge. We have like other people that don't work at Best Buy that use our break room too. So nobody thinks about it much, but this person did look off-putting. Like, it just, whatever, right? Doesn't look professional or anything. Opens up the fridge, literally just grabs. The person looks like he knows, or he or she knows what she's doing, and she just grabs something, walks out, grabs somebody's food and walks out. And it was an associate's food, Panda Express.
I didn't know.
Even the manager was in there. A manager was in there at the time, and he was like, "Hey, do you work here?" And the guy was like, the person was like, "Yeah." Just walked out.
Yeah, duh. I'm one of the new guys.
It turns out like someone else came looking for them, and it was an autistic.
Wow, that's funny.
That was a pretty good one.
Yeah,
I had another one that I was thinking about.
We don't have to. What I have right here that we could also look at is I have some reviews for our specific Best Buy.
Oh, this is good.
This is a very long one. Someone took the time to write us an essay.
There's this one in here that put me in tears.
Is it the one that we opened like at 10, and this customer came like 15 minutes before we even opened, and the customer was livid, so livid that he went on Google's reviews and wrote us a long paragraph saying that they were out with the cold with their kids in the middle of winter, and the associates were just standing inside the building while they were outside.
Oh,
just because we were still not opened yet. But the customer got so mad that we just didn't let them in.
We can't do anything about that.
It's just go back to your car.
Oh man.
10, 15
No, it's
minutes.
seriously, it's the best because literally, the stuff that is just written in this review is seriously just mind-boggling. I'm obviously not going to say the person's name just because I don't want to bring that into this. Just because this is amazing.
That's right.
So basically it says, I'm going to take the time to discredit your business policy application. You are failing. This review, by the way, gave us 1 star. This review is meant for management, upper management, and even the legal department.
Ooh.
Stop failing as a human-run institution.
Holy dang.
Yesterday morning, I don't want to give the specific day. Yesterday morning, there was a blizzard. Lots of snow and wind. Honestly, I shouldn't have been out. Well, I mean, yeah. That's your first guess. But as it was a holiday and I was spending time with 2 of my young children, we ended up wanting to go to Best Buy to grab something for their Nintendo Switch. I discovered Best Buy opened at 10 a.m. after leaving another store at 9:30. We made our way and arrived at about 9:45. We had nowhere to go and were hunkered down in the storm in the parking lot in our warm car. He literally says he's in his nice warm car with the heater on, chilling with his kids. 15 minutes before we opened. And for some reason, at 9:55, we headed to the large main entry. It was windy, cold, and nasty outside. The snow was beating us. When we got to the doors, they were still locked. My kids didn't have coats on because, teenagers.
This is all that's in.
What? Okay. They are freezing. I'm cold. The snow and wind are relentless.
This guy was a creative writer at. That's where he got his
major in journalism. All employees, we're standing at the door. All employees 6 and up knew we were there. My kids are cold. The wind is howling. The doors are locked. The employees are chill, waiting, watching us huddle around each other on the glass door, being stung by the snow. Doors are still locked shut.
Oh my god.
It's so good. It feels like a screenwrite.
Yeah.
I'm not dismissing my part in the situation. We're saying we were victims of hate.
Oh my! Get out of here! Oh my god!
I hate children.
It sounds like Twilight.
Right?
This is intense.
I feel bad for this customer.
Yeah, for real.
Here's the best. I forgot to finish it. We're saying we were victims of hate, racism, or the like. I am saying that Best Buy is failing by trumping human nature with policy. That's not human nature. That's stupidity.
That's just in all reality, we don't open till 10.
Yeah.
You should know, we can't just break
we can't let people in our
policy.
store before we open.
I'm sorry, we can't do that. It's just.
This customer came in one time and it was we opened at 10. She came in right at when we opened. She was wandering around the store, and it was about 10:05, and the lady got upset. And she actually talked to one of the managers, saying, "Hey, I've been here for half an hour and nobody's helped me." And our manager was like, "Ma'am, it's only, we've only been open for about 8 minutes." But she was going on a wild tirade saying that she's been waiting forever and nobody's come up to her and helped her.
Oh yeah,
It's bro, we haven't even been opened that long.
I've had someone like that too. Like, I've been waiting 15 minutes for someone to talk to me. I'm like, well, we've been open for 5. So,
sorry.
No, angry customers. Dude. Oh my god, angry customers.
Wait, let me finish this.
He's still going.
Oh no, there's 4 more paragraphs. Oh my gosh, there's 6 more paragraphs.
Let's hear it.
Let me think. You have effectively removed common sense, kindness, normal societal behavior, etc., and replaced it with policy. You are robotizing your employees. Shame on you. You would argue that policy is the safeguard of your business. I completely agree with this concept. No argument here, except for the 10 paragraph little essay you wrote on your review. It's all an argument. Let me reshape your perspective by focusing on the concept of safeguarding. You're implementing it wrong. Idiots do exist. Really? They take advantage of business. They participate in criminal activities against business. They're idiots, by definition. Protections are necessary. There needs to be safeguards against idiots, absolutely. Policy should be in a place to protect yourself against idiots. Now here's the perspective changes. Policy is not a place so that businesses have a platform to behave like idiots, much like policy is circumstantial. Like, what would change that at all? Just the fact that we see him with some kids, we should allow him in our store early? Like, I don't understand any of that.
I feel like Tiny, what's that Christmas Carol? Tiny Tim, all gathered up clothes.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite one. There's another one in here that's pretty.
There's not really much that can be done about that. Like, we don't even have the keys to open that.
Right?
We can't oh yeah, let me just grab my keys because we're all just 18-year-old associates that work here that we can just freaking open it. And if they say they had written on a piece of paper my kids are freezing, we're really cold, can you let us in? The manager might consider maybe letting them in.
Just go back to your car. 5 more minutes.
Just stay in your car. You said he described it as warm. So why did he leave the warm car?
True.
I think this was this was on Sunday. I was walking up before the store opened, and the customer was also walking ahead of me. I mentioned it to him. Hey, we don't open until 15 more minutes. He just looks back at me, rolls his eyes, and goes, huh. Sorry?
Freaking idiot.
I was gonna wait. I wasn't gonna say anything, but
I understand time.
Not to let you work, not to let you walk all the way up there just to find out it's not open. I told you as soon as you got out of your car that we're not open yet. Don't get mad at me.
Yeah. Jeez, this one's really funny too. He says, "What a joke! I ordered a fridge and had it delivered and noticed it was missing 2 freezer shelves. Didn't get around to calling them for a couple months." Months. And after spending an hour getting disconnected and transferred, I'm told there's nothing they can do about missing shelves because it's been too long. Yeah.
Time's been
2 months.
Thanks, Best Buy. You've lost a lifelong customer over 2 shelves. Yeah. What does he think we would just put him in the bathroom for a couple months till he came and got him?
Yeah, no, we can't just hold on.
It sucks. Nonetheless, it does suck.
Oh yeah, totally sucks. Well, whoever screwed up the shelves in the first place.
Let me help you by helping us.
Yeah.
But the problem is, did he really expect? It was one of those things I was saying with the magic expectations of Disneyland. He expected us to keep a fridge shelf in our warehouse that we didn't even know what it was for. Because he didn't contact us or anything.
I don't even know a solution for that.
Yeah, exactly. What would we even do?
Yeah.
But what were you saying about last Sunday?
Oh, it's just that, I was
similar
to that story of that angry customer. But this customer, gets upset that we're not open yet. But I'm
they're just trying to.
My favorite thing is when they're walking behind us. They walk behind us. I open, these, in the morning, we can get in, but we have to, do it prior to the doors open, and then we shut it right behind us.
Mm-hmm.
But Best Buy is seriously, it's a great job. My current boss, I think, is my favorite I've ever had. I literally I just had a competition with him actually where if I had hit a certain ratio on attaching Geek Squad protection plans on transactions that I did, he'd buy me Chick-fil-A, and I hit it. So that guy owes me Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So this is evidence. Just kidding. I want my Chick-fil-A.
It's on the internet now. It's not going down.
It's a great job. And honestly, I love a lot of the people that work there.
Hey, Kenny, you gotta tell a story about the magic gum that you received recently.
Oh, I learned the lesson. So I was helping the customer out, and bless you. Got bad ligma, dude.
Yeah. You done that? Jeez.
Sorry.
I was helping out a customer. This guy seemed pretty well rounded. Nothing, off-putting. I would say, like, right. Just another day, another customer. We're helping him out. He pulls out what I soon learned isn't gum. It looks like it comes in a container like icebreakers.
Yeah.
It looks like an icebreakers container.
Like that cylinder.
Yeah, cylinder. He opens it up almost like he's gonna. He offers me one, and he offers me to share it. I'm like, yeah, I'll take one. Put it in my mouth. Right off the bat, it's not gum. I chewed into it. It was a nicotine patch, and it opened in my mouth. I guess it's chew, but it comes in a pouch instead.
So like you're supposed to suck on it.
Bruh.
He starts chewing on it.
I chewed it. It's all over my mouth. The deed is done.
Just officially.
The customer. I took one. I don't know how much these cost. I'm not gonna just spit it out and be disrespectful. So I tough up and whatever, right?
Commit.
I commit. I'm in it.
I've already done this.
No, my body. I don't smoke. I'm not used to nicotine very much. At least in those high doses, immediately. Yeah. And nope, I was like hiccuping. I was like.
Oh, which by the way, I found out there's actually a term for that. They're called the nickups. When you get too much nicotine, they call it the nickups. So it happened when I was in Salt Lake and we were smoking cigars. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is too much nicotine. Like, because I don't primarily smoke cigars either. But it was a cigar is a ton, but it was just for an occasion for fun. And yeah, I got the quote unquote the nickups.
The nickups.
So anyways, continue.
No, like I was helped. So I move on from helping that customer. I'm hiccuping. I'm like pulsing at this point. My skin is hot. It's almost itchy, and my mouth is on fire. It feels like I think it was mint flavor. It was just super strong in my mouth.
It was mint flavor.
No, but once it kicked in, I was just like, I was just booing.
Kenny saw God. He just
he just said existential.
No,
that's freaking
so
funny.
at least I'm grateful it wasn't anything else. Like hey, have some acid.
Yeah, for
surprise,
surprise. I remember kind of a similar story when I was in high school. One of my best friends, his name was Brock. So he's kind of the first guy that I ever saw like hit a vape, like Juuls or vapes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So he's the first guy I ever saw hit one. Anyways, I didn't want to hit it. He's like, yo, you should hit this. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm not into that. Whatever. Anyway, so he's like, yo, but at least like just try a drop of the juice on your tongue, like. Just so you can know what the flavor is. He's like, because you don't heat it up, you won't feel any of the nicotine, which is complete BS, by the way.
None of that's true.
Yeah, that's definitely not true. Anyway,
that.
so it's like 12 milligram juice.
This is your fault then.
This is a bad mistake. In like nicotine or vape juice world, 3 is like pretty much the lowest, and that's what most people use. 6 is considered high. 9 is like, all right, you're pretty excessive, and 12 is like, all right, you're definitely high up there.
What was it?
That's what the juice was. It was 12. So just to put it into perspective, a Juul though, it doesn't necessarily rip as hard, but that has like 56 milligrams, so it's way up there. Anyway, so that's why.
To put into perspective,
don't rip a Juul.
This kid weighs like 96 pounds.
Oh yeah, like 5'8", like
this kind
chicken legs, like. It was bad. I had virgin lungs. Like I'd never smoked a cigarette. I'd never smoked weed. Like nothing. Like none of that. Anyways, and I still have never done that. Anyways,
SE vapes.
So he tells me, he's like, just put a little drop on the back of your tongue. So he pulls it out, and it's in a little dropper. And like the dropper, so you can squirt it out and like have some juice come out. But there's also some juice that kind of gets on the outside of it and rolls down the bottom. So he goes to put it in the back, and like 4 or 5 drops come off and into like the back of my tongue. And I went to swallow it, and I just started coughing like horrible. My throat burned. Like it's kind of like pepper. You know, like when you when you
accidentally bite down on peppers.
Yeah. Like or there's too much on a bite or something. Or like sometimes like when you're eating buffalo wings and you accidentally inhale a little bit of the dust, and it's like, and you're like you can't breathe. Oh, it was just like that. I got so sick, the whole world started spinning. Like, I saw 8 different clocks. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I got out of my car at my house, and I puked, 4 times.
Oh.
It was absolutely horrible. So, lesson learned, don't drink or eat vape juice. Also, vaping is bad.
More of the story, don't vape.
I just want to talk about the angry customers that we sometimes get to.
Oh, yeah, same.
There was this...
I need to preface this.
Yes.
If there's one thing that you guys get from this episode of this podcast that's listening, just be nice to customer service or retail employees. Please. They literally get paid to deal with, just terrible, mean, awful people. And only people who've worked in retail would really understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I can always tell when somebody works in retail when they're, super patient and nice.
Tip your waiters and tip your strippers.
Yes.
That's the only thing I can tell you.
Truth.
But I think one of the funniest things that I heard about was when there was this lady trying to return a MacBook, but we couldn't do it because it was still locked under Find My iCloud.
Mm-hmm.
So we literally legally couldn't take it off of her because it still had her private data in there and had all of her accounts and her password. And also we just couldn't resell it because it still had all our stuff on it. And so we told her hey, we're willing to help you at least get it off first before you try to return it or something like that. And I could be fuzzy on the details because I wasn't there, but from what I heard, she lost it. And one of my favorite quotes I got from that is she told the manager who was trying to help her out with it is that I hope your mother dies.
Dear, wow,
Straight up just
holy
said
Christmas tree. That is.
To me, that's the next level. Because if someone's mad at you, they're just gonna swear at you oh, you're such a fat, you're a bitch. But this was beyond that. This was a cool, collected insult that they had prepared.
I wish your children to be orphans.
This happened. This happened last week with Van's favorite manager. So this customer came in. She wanted us to do a price match for some AirPods. The place where they price match for one reason or the other, we couldn't price match it. Mm-hmm. They either didn't have it in stock or whatever. And she just started going off.
Good.
She started insulting our manager that the only reason why she's not doing the price match is because she's uglier.
Oh!
You're ugly.
Oh,
you're just straight up jealous that I'm hot. Anybody else would do the price match except that.
No, she said a male would do it for me. She said if you were a man, you would do it.
I saw,
that was crazy.
Oh my!
Dude,
Wow.
I felt so bad. I was like, holy crap.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Talk about a roast. I love it! I love it! That's why she's my favorite manager. 100%.
She took it like a champ, though. From what I heard.
No, well, she probably hears it a lot. Regardless, this is one time. I think it was during Black Friday, and Black Friday gets crazy.
Oh,
and these lines that wrap around the whole store before people can check out.
Oh yeah.
And this guy was only checking out maybe not a whole lot, maybe a couple DVDs or something. And
it's is that even worth it at that point?
Regardless, he cuts. All the managers, everybody sees this customer cutting towards the front of the store to front lanes to check out. And the people at the front lanes, because we told them over the walkie to, tell that customer that we can't ring him out because he cut and then he needs to go to the back of the line and wait like everybody else. No, that customer grabbed that product and he said, "Man," he just cussed out Best Buy and threw that product across the store. I was like, bruh.
What was the movie? Was it at least?
It was just, I don't know what it was. I think it was just something.
It's I wouldn't be pissed if this was over Suicide Squad or something.
No, but no, it was so he threw that across the whole. Best Buy. Hucks it across the whole store. That's my funniest one.
Oh, dude, Black Friday I wasn't there on the day of Black Friday. I was there for the Thanksgiving, the day before.
Oh man.
And that was funny because I was the line mitigation, so I was the one standing and letting people out.
Bouncer, Best Buy bouncer.
Yeah, pretty much. Best Buy. And it was so funny because I was told listen, this day is gonna be completely hectic. So if you have to put your foot down a little bit, tell customers no, that's totally fine. You won't get in trouble for that today. So I felt so cool, I had my arms crossed.
I feel like I was Harriet Tubman. And I say that because there's a stack, again, to preface it, there's a line that went across the whole store. And there's registers throughout the whole store.
Yeah.
And I felt like Harriet Tubman because I would grab some customers, hey, come with me. I can check you guys out here.
Save you.
I can save you. Come.
Yeah,
I would grab
yeah.
like 15 customers at the same time, which is still, you know.
You're a shepherd. Like,
I would go check them out at another register to get them in
that's
faster.
awesome.
There was also this other lady there. I still love this to this day. She had a full cart of just like smart home stuff, like packed up, and then she also had a TV that she was trying to carry with like one hand. And then she like comes up, she's like, "Can you help me carry this?" I'm like, "I can. Like, I'm specifically posted here to do those." She's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do then? Just walk around and carry it?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Do you know what day it is? Like, are you
It's
kidding
Black
me?"
Friday.
Like, if not, there's like 40 other people that I'm sure would take it off your hands.
Yeah.
Our managers hired this gentleman. He was probably closer to 89. Like, this guy was old. Older gentleman. And they hired him. This guy didn't know anything about anything technology. It just went over his head. And they hired him onto the hardest. They hired him into one of the most hardest positions in the whole store.
Was he sales?
No, mobile. He was in mobile. Hardest position.
Mobile sales.
This guy knows nothing about anything. He still has a flip phone. When he started working there, he probably upgraded to some jitterbug phone for old people. Regardless, this guy, he was like a line bouncer, like you were during Black Friday, but he was in a wheelchair. And this guy was sleeping. We thought he died because he was like passed out. Like he fell asleep. I have a picture somewhere on my phone, and this guy was just he was
just out.
He was just out. He was just. I'm like,
on
this,
like the one day.
bro, this guy's dead. He has to be. He has to go feel for a pulse and anything. No, he's still there, but. This guy, I don't know who, our general manager at the time, I don't know, he made the decision of firing this guy, and bro, he was the worst. The customers hated him, and he was...
Nonetheless.
He did some...
I remember this was a pretty, despicable story about something that happened at Best Buy.
Remember, no names.
No names. This is about a customer who came in. This was just something that I witnessed. It's nothing against Best Buy. It's just something that I was able to witness while working there. Anyways, so this older lady comes in, and so she told me, she's like, "Hey, I want to do an upgrade on my phone." She's like, "My husband primarily handled the finances, and he just died like 3 or 4 months ago." She's like, "But I want to check and see how much I have left to pay off on my phone." So I pull up her account. I'm like, on your phone number, like, you don't have very much left. But I was like, wait, so who else is on your account with you? She had Sprint, the phone carrier. Anyway, so I'm like, but who else is on your account with you? She's like, it should just be me. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's like 9 other phone numbers on here. She's like, what? So I look at it, and she doesn't recognize any of them. We pull out her phone. She has, like, an iPhone 6, like a little bit older iPhone, whatever. And so, I go in to just search the phone number on her phone. She doesn't have any of them saved. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, all right, ma'am. I'm like, I don't know what's
older?
going on. She was older, yeah. So her husband had just died pretty recently. She was probably, I'd say, like, 80, 85. But, yeah, just a poor lady,
Good.
Like
that's why you went the extras.
So I felt it sucks that her husband had died recently.
Yeah.
She still wasn't necessarily over it because it was not even 6 months ago, right?
So
anyway,
she just had a bunch of different people on
so
her.
a bunch of different phone numbers on there. She didn't recognize any of them. So I call our rep. I think his name was at the time. Anyway, so I call him. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to do this lady's upgrade. I explain to him what's going on. He's like, all right, I'll check it out. And so he has access to look up those phone numbers on and see like the names or the text messages.
Yeah.
He has a lot more
access,
than we do. Turns out, so he's like, I'm going to take a look at this. I'll email you or get in contact with you when I can. So it was like 2 or 3 days later. I told the lady, I'm like, listen, let's wait to do an upgrade. We're just going to see what's going on with your account right now. She's like, we didn't really tell her exactly that there were just a bunch of other phone numbers. We looked up a couple of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think your account might have gotten intertwined with somebody else's or automatically assigned to a different one when your husband died. I'm like, but we're going to figure it out. So I didn't want to freak her out yet. Anyway, so it's 2 or 3 days later and it reaches out. Turns out they're I think it was 6 of the 9 other ones that were added were all associates.
Whoa.
And there were 3 of them that were just regular people. But yeah, also the 6 hour associates were all authorized users.
Whoa.
So they could go in and do whatever they needed on the account.
Holy
They could
crap.
upgrade. They all had brand new phones. They had unlimited service. And she had been paying for that for like a while. Like she had no idea. So to her suspicion, and what it turns out that like what things happened is the last time that her husband and her had upgraded the phones, that's what had happened. But the husband wasn't like looking at the finances and things like that. You know, he thought everything was good. And they had auto pay. You know, be careful with your auto pay, people, because that stuff happens. You know, I was like, holy cow. So they refunded a bunch of money to her, and Mike told me that I don't know if he was over-exaggerating or if it was an expression, but he said she was going to get free service for life. And I genuinely hope he meant that literally. Because, like,
that's thousands.
That's
of dollars.
Unbelievable. Like, they all had brand new, like, iPhones, Galaxy Notes, like...
That's insane.
Like, oh, man.
That is probably the craziest story.
Old lady, and they offered her free service for life. How many more years is that? Like,
yeah, I know. Like, for, like,
they're set.
After 10
years.
Family tree, like...
It's like,
maybe can my grandkid have that?
I'm only here for like 2 more years.
Now, straight up, I want y'all to refund like $12K. Like, that's so much money. That's nuts.
Free service for life for old
Straight
people.
up nuts, yeah.
Oh my
for
God.
life and the next
old
life.
people like customers, like they're older people, and I love them because I really do try to my best to help them and teach them. Like they get overwhelmed with so many things.
It's seriously such a disadvantage. Like if you think about not being able to go every day without being able to know how to access your phone or the internet, like it's a disadvantage now.
Or just the old people that come into Best Buy in general, like they're just clueless to and unbeknownst to what's new. You know, we always do our best to help them out and everything, but these customers just I don't think they get that things have changed, so they come and bring in their older equipment. I'm like, no, that's...
Nah. Yeah. Did you ever hear the story about the lady who came in to pay her, like, an iTunes bill or something with the Google gift cards with some guy on the phone?
Yeah, I was there. I called the manager.
Yeah,
This lady was on...
go ahead.
I was there because the lady was on the phone. I'm positive she got one of those, like, calls from India saying, hey, we got your iCloud information and everything.
You owe your bill.
Pay it off with iTunes gift cards or Android, like
Google Play Store gift cards.
She sounded so frantic when she was like, just sell me these, like $6,000 worth of gift cards. I think it was the limit. I think it was just exactly at that limit, $2,000 that we could sell her. And yeah, like we told the customers like, hey, are you being like blackmailed or like what did I forgot the word they used, but
what's
held hostage? Like, are they?
Like extorting?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, hey, like there's lots of people out there that say that they're gonna lock you out of your account or they have stuff on you, but to make it better or make it go away, to pay it off with Google gift cards. And then she was so sure that no, it's fine. I'm in the phone right now with Apple. And I'm what?
Really?
I'm with the Apple.
Yeah.
I'm right now.
I'm with Tim Apple right now.
This is Steve Jobs on the other line, all right? Like, believe me, it's
I called
That's
him.
so sad.
All right. I tried my best to explain to her that.
Did someone talk to the person on the phone or something?
No.
Oh, dang.
She was on the phone with them, and the way that she was like communicating back and forth, it was.
That's just funny. Very obvious, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like you really can't do anything.
I can just imagine those scammers, because they always want to get like the credit, like the gift cards and everything. Like one of them's like, you can only pay in Fortnite Victory Royale.
Yeah.
He's like,
in V-Bucks,
He's like, log into this account, username and password, and I need at least 3 Victory Royales by Saturday.
Man.
That's wild.
Or else you're locked out.
I got scammed back in the days of Team Fortress 2. I don't know if any of you guys played that. But I used to buy and resell unusuals. But anyways, one day I got really into Counter-Strike. And this guy wanted to pay me like a ridiculous amount for this unusual on PayPal. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I made a PayPal account. I had a debit card. And he sends a request to add the money to my account. And so it like shows your balance as like 160, but it's in parentheses because it hasn't been processed
transferred.
yet. And I'm like, oh, like hell yeah! I'm like, send it over. So I sent him the hat, and then like the next day I come in and it's like 0, and I'm like, oh man, F word. And then I'm like, all right, I messaged the guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, like, what's up? Blocked. Nothing. Like, I never got that money back. Like,
Wow.
That much money? He was.
yeah, it was like
$160?
$240, dude. Like, it was nuts.
How much
like,
is the hat worth?
Like, probably like 150, 160.
Man.
Like, and that would have been in Fortnite money.
Yeah.
Or not Fortnite money. Team Fortress 2 money. Like, so it wasn't necessarily like 260, but
Yeah,
he wanted to send like 240 of like real spend
bills.
PayPal to order
That should have
stuff
been
from
your,
Amazon.
that should have
like,
been your first red flag.
pay your bills,
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for having
and
us. It was fun.
I'll see you all when I see ya.
See ya.
Sickened by the thought of it all.